Hari Nam Sankirtan Yajna ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So, these slides. So today we are discussing the topic, discover the manual of life. Actually, this is the third session, but since you have already attended few sessions, so I'm not going into those topics, the first two topics, because we have already discussed indirectly, not from the session, but indirectly. So if you all wish, we can discuss at the end again. But like the first topic is about the soul. Who am I? Whether I am this body or I am soul. Like you have heard many times, I'm something different from this body. The driver and the car and the shirt and the body. These examples we have heard many times. And so we studied in that. And the second session was who is God? The need of a God. So there was a full detailed analysis on that. Who is God, and the scientific, logical proof by common sense, and what are the scientific perspectives and the Vedic perspective on that. These were the first two sessions. Today we are discussing the third session, how to gain knowledge. The third session is on how to gain knowledge. So whatever we know, whatever we believe, things we believe, anything we know, what is the way to know anything? There must be a process to know. So in Vedic literatures, it is called epistemology, the science of gaining knowledge. That before gaining any knowledge, one should verify the source of knowledge, right? From which source this knowledge is coming. Then only we can rely on that knowledge. Otherwise, we don't know. There are many people who have their own selfish interests. They have their own personal things mixed in that, right? Selfish opinions. There are 700 commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. How many of you believe that all the commentaries are as good as, and they're as good as the original, and all of them are same? They're as good as the original, and all of them are they're giving the same message what Krishna gave to Arjuna. How many of you believe in that? Is it possible? It's not possible in this material world. It has never happened in the history, right? That everything is perfect. Is there anything perfect in this world? No. So there are imperfections. Accepting the fact that there are imperfections and there are people with selfish motives and selfish interests. So we should first of all verify the source of knowledge. So today's topic is Topic is discover the manual of life. So today we will discuss how one should gain knowledge, and we'll discuss the processes of gaining knowledge. There are three processes of gaining knowledge. We'll discuss on that, and finally we'll come to a conclusion that which of the three process is the best process for gaining knowledge, and how Vedic process is the most perfect. Ultimately, we are trying to prove here is how Vedic process of learning is the most perfect way of gaining knowledge. That is our whole agenda. But we don't want to be dogmatic. We don't want to be sentimental. We want to do it in a very logical and mute everybody. So we want to do this in a very logical and scientific way. So as far as Vedic knowledge is concerned, Vedic knowledge has, apart from the spiritual part of Vedic knowledge, there are scientific, there's 80%, or you can say a very major part of the Vedas, they give us material information, nearly 80 to 85%. It is just 15% of the Vedas talk about spiritual knowledge, and less than 15% also. More than 85% is just material things, that how to live in this world in such a manner that you can gradually progress. It's not material in the sense that it is material, and it is not material because it is presented in a manner that it will connect us to spiritual. So it is not material in the sense that the goal is not material, right? The goal is spiritual. By following, for example, somebody marries, somebody performs a marriage ceremony. So it's a material act, but it's a Vedic process. So the goal, even though it is a material process mentioned in the Vedas, but why this marriage ceremony is there? Because people gradually will control their sense gratification, regulate their sense gratification, so that they will not become animalistic, and gradually they will uplift. Their consciousness will be uplifted, because to uplift anybody's consciousness, you have to stop. First of all, you have to teach him some don'ts, and then you teach him some do's. So don't become an animal, become a human being. And then the next instruction will be become a devotee. Right? But first of all, don't become an animal. The first instruction will be. So there are instructions in the Vedas which teaches you don't become an animal. And for that, there is Vedic ceremonies, Vivaha Yajna, and different kinds of yajnas are being mentioned, so that you fulfill your bodily necessities, but not to the extent of becoming an animal. Right? You are a human being. And then one is properly situated in regulating his bodily necessities. Then the Veda says, okay, now you become a devotee. Now you are qualified to become a devotee, because an animal cannot become a devotee. So first the animal has to become a human being, and then the human being can be taught the science of devotion. So that is the purpose of the Vedas. So one who doesn't understand the goal of the Vedas, what is the goal of the Vedas? Anybody can say? There is one famous shloka Prabhupada used to frequently quote. Huh? Yeah, that is there. Anybody can say the shloka which Prabhupada used to frequently quote? Vedeshcha sarvair ahameva vedyo vedanta krit ved videva chaham. That from all the Vedas, what the goal of the Vedas is to know Vedeshcha sarvair. The sarvair means the whole Vedas. Ahameva vedyo. Krishna is saying it is to know me. Ahameva. The goal of the Vedas, Krishna is saying, is to know me. But it may not so explicit. It may not be so explicit. It goes through a very indirect processes. And somebody may see Vedas are encouraging to perform Grih Pravesh. For example, you have considered a good house, and there is a Vedic ceremony, Grih Pravesh. So it doesn't so explicitly. It doesn't show that we are getting connected to Krishna, because we are just enjoying a new house and we are just having a beautiful wife and a beautiful car you have taken to a temple. Some Vedic ceremonies are being done. So all these processes doesn't look like it connects to Krishna. But Krishna says all these processes are just so that you can gradually uplift your consciousness and come to the stage that you can realize me. Vedescha sarver ahameva vedya. Because Vedanta krit videva chaham. Because he's the creator of the Vedas. He's the compiler of the Vedas. He's the creator of the Vedas. Vedas are not different from him. So Vedic truths are indefeatable. So apart from the spiritual knowledge, which is difficult to perceive, it's beyond the senses, there are Vedic sciences which are very famous, like the Vastu Shastra, right? The cosmography. There is a book called on which Bhakti Saraswati Maharaj wrote that commentary. What is that book? Surya Siddhant. Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Maharaj wrote that. Surya Siddhant is such a book. If you read, if you see, you cannot read. If you just see, you'll see that how complex it is. So many complex calculations derived from the Vedas. Surya Siddhant, astronomical calculations, complex astronomical calculations. Before any instruments were discovered, these things were there. And Jyotish Shastra, even common astrologers can calculate the planetary motions. Simple astrologers, they may not be such big astrologers. Simple astrologers, they know the planetary motions. And for us, it takes so many years, to study science, and then you study how many planets are there, and this and that. But simple astrologers, they know that these many planets are there, and each planet moves in its orbit like this, and it completes its whole revolution around the sun in this much time. So everything they know, and it was going on from ages. The father used to teach the son, and it was going on from ages. Ayurveda. So I'm taking my personal experience I have. I'm taking my medicines from a Vaidya. He's there in Gujarat. So once in a year, he goes in the forest. Even though he's in Gujarat, he's from Andhra. So once in a year, he'll go to the forest and he'll collect all the herbs and he'll come and prepare. And he has never gone to any college. He has no such formal education. I asked him, from where you learned? My father taught. From where your father learned? My father taught. His father taught. Like that. Simple. Simple. Science is being done, and such a big science, So, so I had asthma, and I went to so many hospitals. This is one of my. There are so many experiences like this. So I went to so many hospitals for my treatment, but nobody cured. And they just give me asteroids. You take asteroids. Asteroids is very harmful. It's pumps, asteroids. It's very dangerous. But they don't have any option. And this Vaidya, he's illiterate. He has not done MBBS. He cured me. You see? He's illiterate. He cured me. Doesn't know. But because he doesn't have any qualification. The process is there in the Vedas. He said, I don't have any qualification. I just read this Vedas. At this part of the Vedas I read. And he showed me. You see, you have this problem and this is the solution. Written. No need of any research. Why is the need of research? Everything is written. There's no need of research. So one who has created, he has given all the sciences. So plants have life, the science of embryology, everything is there. How the child grows in the womb, month to month, week to week, everything is there. So there's something Vedic maths. They calculate. About Vedic maths, right? It's very famous. Very famous. So time is less. We'll just go ahead. So we'll discuss these topics today. These are the summary of the whole session. So there's a story of 6 blind men. We'll discuss now, and then we will discuss the 3 ways to gain knowledge, and the limitations of each way, and we'll conclude which of the 3 is the most perfect, and what is the position of scientific research in gaining knowledge, and finally we'll come to Vedas, that how Vedas offer complete and perfect knowledge. So 6 blind men and 1 wise man story. Have you heard this story? 6 blind men story. So there were 6 blind men. Most of you know. So I'll just give a quick review of it. So there were 6 blind men. And all the six of the blind men, they were standing on different parts of an elephant, and they don't know how the elephant looks like. They're blind from birth, and they're trying to find out how the elephant, what is the shape of the elephant, how he exactly looks like. So they're touching different parts of the elephant, and they're trying to hypothesize what is the shape of the elephant. So one is touching the teeth, the first person. He's feeling that the elephant shape is like a sword, a sharp sword. Elephant shape is like a sharp sword. One is touching the tail. He's feeling that the elephant shape is like a strong, thick rope, right? Strong, thick rope. One is touching the ears. Third person. He's feeling like the elephant is like a big fan, big fan. One is touching the uh, stomach, belly of the elephant. He's feeling like that the elephant is like a hard wall, hard surface. It's like a hard wall. One is touching the what else? Trunk. He's feeling like the elephant is like something else, similar to a rope or something. So if you see, all the six men, because of their limited experience, they are trying to define reality with their limited experience, right? So at most, they can reach to one or two aspects of reality. Will they be ever able to understand the complete aspect of reality? Will it be possible? Will they ever be able to understand the complete aspect of reality? No. They can at most reach to one or two aspects of reality. So here we have to understand that somebody may be correct that the elephant looks like a hard wall. That is correct, because the shape of the elephant's belly is like a hard wall. It's correct in one sense, but this is one aspect of reality. Somebody may say the elephant is like a sharp sword. Okay, that is correct. This is second aspect of reality. So in the same way, our approach to understand reality, sometimes we may be very stubborn, that until unless you explain me or you try to teach me the way I perceive, or if you don't try to bring reality within my perception, until that point I won't accept reality. No, you have to accept reality the way it is. You cannot bring reality to your limited experience. You have to bring yourself to the reality and understand reality the way it is. So what the blind men are doing, they're trying to bring reality to their experience. They're not trying to come up and see the reality as it is. And that is the problem with it. That is what is being pointed out here. So we have to be careful. We should increase our level by education, by hearing, by studying. We should increase our level and come up to the level so that we can perceive the reality as it is. So now from this example, we have come to this conclusion that we need to understand that which is the most perfect way of gaining knowledge to understand reality. Our perceptions are imperfect. So we need to have a process of gaining knowledge. So what can be that process? So there are three processes of gaining knowledge: direct perception, hypothesis. You can understand reality by hypothesis, or the third is by hearing. So the third way is by hearing. You can understand reality by direct perception, by hypothesis, or by hearing. So we'll start one by one. The first, pratyaksh praman, direct sense perception. So direct sense perception can give us full knowledge. This is very important to understand, because people will challenge your faith. People will challenge your faith, and you will have to face that challenge. If you don't properly empower yourself with the weapon of knowledge, then people will just, they will create a disaster in your life, because they'll ask questions and you will not be able to answer. You will start doubting your own faith, and then your practices will reduce, and then you will get lost. So please hear nicely, because this is some basic things we are discussing. This is like the foundation of your spiritual life, if you want to continue spiritual life. So can direct perception give us full knowledge? Yeah? No. Okay. Is seeing believing? Direct perception means we have five senses. We perceive things by five senses. What are those five senses? Sign, cut. Yeah, we can perceive reality by hearing, by seeing, by smelling, tasting, or by touching. These are the ways we have. So is seeing believing? Because people, they say that if God exists, show me God. This is a very general statement. If God, does God exist? If he exists, show me. So is seeing believing? So we are very confident of our seeing capability, and we feel that just by seeing we can prove something to be a fact or an illusion. So now, have you experienced this? Do you have an experience of this? Two railway lines merging at a point, right? So does the railway lines merge at a point? No, but we experience like that because of limitations of eyes, distorted reflections. This is famous example we all have studied, refraction, right? We see the pencil is broken, but it's not. It's just an illusion. It happens, and sometimes this relative. Because I frequently travel in train. I go to Bhopal and used to come here. Then what happens? I'm sitting in the train, and my train is not moving. But the moment I look out of the window and the next train is moving, I feel that my train is also moving. Right? It happens, though. And then you have to, again, you have to intentionally you have to think and a little bit concentrate that whether my train is moving or not. And then you realize, oh, it is not moving. Because it's so bewildering. We get illusion. We don't know what we are perceiving is reality or illusion. We don't know. You have to first, why I could perceive that my train is not moving, because I doubted reality that it may be illusion. What I'm considering to be reality, I doubted it that it may be illusion. So similarly, we should have, this is how we gain knowledge, right? We should not be overconfident of our perceptions. And we should think that whether what I'm perceiving is correct or not, right? We should think twice, because we should not be overconfident on our senses. Like you see, many times we experience this, right? Water on the road. So from this, we can understand that is seeing believing? No, we cannot say that seeing is believing. It's not an absolute statement. Maybe applicable to few cases, but not an absolute statement. So it's not possible to acquire complete and perfect knowledge by the five senses. Why? Because the senses have got defects. The senses are defectful. Can anybody tell any defect? No, just by common sense. Any defect. You feel that the senses, because the argument is senses are defectful. How many of you accept the fact that senses are defectful? Why do you feel like that? Yeah, I can see to a very limited distance, so it's an imperfection, right? My senses are imperfect. It is limited, and so the first defect is imperfect senses. There are imperfections in the senses. The second defect is illusion. We get illusion, right? We consider something to be something else, right? We'll discuss more on this. And we commit mistakes. How many of you commit mistakes very frequently? All of us. To err is human. There is an English saying, to err is human. Right? Cheating propensity. It's inbuilt. No, you don't have to think twice. You may not be able, you may not notice also. You may feel like I'm a very good person, but it's there, it's inbuilt in us. We cheat. We don't do it intentionally, but it happens. Spontaneously it happens. Well, you'll see today. You'll come to know how you cheat. So the Vedas, they know everything. We cannot hide. So imperfect senses. So we all have studied the eyes are limited to only particular range in the electromagnetic spectrum. What is that range called? Visible range, right? So and that visible range uh, is a very narrow range. It's very narrow range compared to the whole spectrum, and it's not just half or one fourth. It's less than one fourth. So then what we can understand is what we see is insignificant part of the whole creation. What we can see, because most of the things you cannot see because your range is fixed, right? So we feel that I'm enjoying. Yes, you're enjoying, but in the limited range. So God has fixed our domain. Our domain is fixed. You can jump and dance and whatever you want to do in the same domain, right? Our ears are deaf, right? We can hear a particular range, 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. So this is called audible range. So in this FCI godowns, Food Corporation of India, FCI godowns, they have a particular kind of whistles, which you may not hear, but once it is switched on, all the rats who are there in the godown, they all will start fleeing away here and there. They cannot tolerate that noise. It's noise for them, and for us, we are deaf. We cannot even feel that noise. It's called ultrasonic whistles. That is ultrasonic sound. So it doesn't affect us. So dogs also can hear certain wavelength, sounds wavelength, which we cannot capture. So these are the imperfections. Somebody may argue that even though we may have imperfections, I can invent certain instruments by which I can overcome my imperfections. Now we have telescope. I cannot see, but the telescope can see, right? I cannot hear, but I have something like this. I can hear far, thousands of kilometers away. I can hear something like this. People. So this is another argument. Sometimes you may have to face that people may say that how can you say that our senses are imperfect? So okay, it is imperfect, but to a lot of extent we have overcome those imperfections, and very soon we will make it perfect. So Eugen Wigner, he's a Nobel Prize-winning physicist. He said that even if you photograph stars, eventually we have to take in by our senses what the photo shows. Furthermore, without our senses, we cannot handle a camera. Even if we amplified, or refined by instruments, the knowledge is no more perfect than our imperfect senses. Because even if you perceive something through a perfect instrument, but since again you are dependent on your imperfect senses, whatever the instruments are giving you, you take it by your imperfect senses, and again you will get illusion. Again there will be problem. Because ultimately it will come through your imperfect eyes only. So again there are problems. Similarly for the tongue, if you take something very sweet, then you cannot taste anything else. Or if you take something very sour, you won't be able to taste things. So if you take orange after sugar, it will taste sour. Or if you take orange after lemon, it will taste sweet. Similarly for water is hot or cold. If you, what is that? For example, if you touch water in summer, it appears to be cool. But if you touch water in winter, it appears to be warm. Because your hands are more cooler than the water. So water appears to be warm. So it's very difficult to ascertain, because our senses, they get bewildered. Senses, they get bewildered. They cannot perceive things they are. You see, these are some illusions. How many of you are able to see a white triangle? Most of us. is there a white triangle? Aryaman? But you are able to see a white triangle. There is no such white triangle here. So yeah, now everybody can tell what all things you are able to see. Except that an old man and an old woman is there, except that. So one person is playing guitar and yeah, okay. One lady is wearing a cap. Appa- Yeah, how many of you are able to see that yellow vase? Yeah. You're seeing this one, that golden vase. Hmm. So, so many things in one picture. Illusion. You see, illusion. You just see to this point and you just do like this, front and back. You'll see that the inner circle is going clockwise, the outer circle is going anti-clockwise. Clear? Yeah. But nothing is happening. It's just illusion. And you just type in Google illusory images. They paint. There are painters like that. They'll paint on the road, and it will appear like there is a ditch. There's a big trench or ditch on the road, and there's nothing like that. They'll paint in such a way. So this illusion, they know how to create illusion. And the magicians, what they do, they're just taking advantage of the weaknesses of our senses. No, they have come to know that where the senses are weak, and they're taking advantage of it, and they're earning crores and crores. So this is, but and not only the magicians, the technicians, this Facebook, WhatsApp, what they are doing, they know that we have this adrenaline hormone. No, it is what? Adrenaline, right? Dopamine. Sorry, dopamine. We have this dopamine hormone. When it secretes, we feel bliss. We feel happy. Some kind of excitement we feel. So they just do certain things by which that dopamine hormone will more and more release, and you will crave for that. So they have understood certain weaknesses of our senses, certain weaknesses of our brain and mind. uh, and then they are taking advantage of it. So before you you allow somebody else to take advantage of your weaknesses, why don't you identify your weaknesses and you be careful for that, right or not? So another third defect is tendency to commit mistakes. So earlier scientists used to consider brain as a cooling organ. It cools the body. So you see, and pituitary gland was considered as a vestige. Vestige means useless. Later they came to know that this is the master gland. This is the master of all the glands. They felt that it's a vestige, better take it out. Unnecessarily it is there in the body. So this is Hubble constant. Even though it is called a constant, but over the years it has changed so many times. It is now people call it Hubble variable. Because we commit mistakes, right? So we are prone to commit mistakes. So the fourth defect is cheating propensity. We have tendency to cheat. So one of the famous incidents which happened in the history, there are so many incidents in the history that how scientists have cheated over the past. And there are books published. Whole book you can be written on that. And there's so many books are written on that. We'll have such a few of those books. So because human being, he needs reputation. Who doesn't like to have a Nobel Prize or a recognition? Everybody wants to have. Everybody wants to publish his paper. If you have to change some data here and there, and your paper will get published, why you will not do that, right? So there's a great cheating which happened in the history. It's called Piltdown Down Man hoax. So we all have studied Darwin theory, right? So in the Darwin theory, Darwin says that humans have gradually evolved from apes, monkeys. So when Darwin's this and this theory was being promoted by the proponents of Darwin, but another group of scientists, they questioned they put forward some critical questions in front of Darwin proponents, that if man has evolved from apes and that this evolution has happened gradually over a period of time. That's what Darwin theory says. It doesn't happen at once. It happens slowly over a period of time, gradual evolution. So there must be a stage when there must be species who were half ape, half human, three-fourth ape, one-fourth human, because it's a gradual process. No, it's not overnight process. That just today the chimpanzee slept and tomorrow he woke up as a with a laptop. Yes, doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. So this was a common sense question that if man has evolved from apes, so please show us some fossils. Because there are so many fossils which are there underground. So there must be few fossils which can show us or which can prove that the missing link between man and apes, the missing link. The, the missing link between man and apes. Half man, half ape, half three-fourth man, one-fourth ape. So they didn't have any such proof, any such archaeological evidence, and the pressure was building up, and they had to come up with something because already they have first put forward the theory, and now they are searching for the evidence. First, actually, we should have the evidence, and then we should put forward the theory. But in science, in modern science, first we hypothesize, speculate, and then we search for evidence. This is a nonsensical method. Actually, science means observation. What is the procedures? What you follow? Observation and no hypo. No, first is observation, then hypothesis, and then demonstration. You demonstrate it, right? So the final thing is demonstration. That you may propose something by through your observations. That since I observed this thing, so I propose that it may have happened like this. So you have to demonstrate. The next stage is you demonstrate it. Yeah, you have to verify your hypothesis. But Darwin's theory is such a theory that it never happened that the Darwin's proponent they demonstrated their theory. It never happened. But it is widely accepted, and we consider it as a fact, as a normal, genuine fact. But there is no such evidence of Darwin's theory, not even one evidence they have. It is just in words, some nice word juggleries. So when the missing link was asked from those proponents of Darwin, so they didn't have anything to prove. So what they did, they took the skull of a human and they removed the jaw and put the jaw of a monkey. And this is half monkey, half human, and it was published. Missing link. It came in the newspapers. In 1912, they made up this evidence, and in 1953, the fraud got revealed, and it was showed that this human skull and there was a filled jaw in it. And like that, they did repeatedly. It was just in the I had just displayed 1 year, but this thing happened repeatedly. They did this fraud over the years. Again and again, they tried to manipulate the evidences. Scientists, they repeatedly do this. They manipulate the evidences to prove their nonsense things. So like that, they manipulated this evidence to show that some that birds have evolved into humans or something like that. Dinosaurs. So this is human jaw. Now we'll come to Anuman Praman, the next Praman. So we have discussed the Pratyaksh Praman, and we concluded that Pratyaksh Praman is an imperfect source of gaining knowledge. Seeing and is believing, or depending on the senses, because senses have got 4 defects. The first defect is tendency to come imperfect senses. Limitations are there. The second defect is illusion. Okay. The third defect is mistakes. Like in that we studied the brain and the pituitary gland and so many others. So, and the third thing is cheating. Fourth, cheating. We cheat, and in that we discuss the Darwin piled down man hopes. Now, the second pramana is Anuman Praman, hypothesis. Anuman, the research. This research work comes in this. So we do some observation and we try to hypothesize and generate a theory out of it. Guesswork, it is called. So you may have read many such books. May have happened like that. Perhaps it would have been like that. So these are not some knowledge cannot be perhaps or maybe. Knowledge is it should be, right? Then only it can be considered as knowledge. If it is just somebody's speculation, then it is like a fiction novel, right? Like you read a fiction novel, imagination of somebody is as good as a fiction novel. It cannot be considered as science. Perhaps or maybe cannot be used in science. So theories based on observation. So this is Charles Darwin. He wrote a book called Origin of Species. And in the book, he said, I'm a firm believer that without speculation, there is no good and original observation. After 5 years' work, I allowed myself to speculate on the subject and drew up some short notes. This I enlarged in 1844 into a sketch of conclusions, which seemed to me probable. So he himself is saying, I speculated. And initially, I speculated a little bit, and then I enlarged it. And then I speculated even more. And then even more. So he's dreaming. He's observing something and he's dreaming. And he's writing books. Nothing factual, no evidence, no hard evidence. And this person is dreaming, and other foolish persons they're accepting. And nobody is asking any evidence. You see how it works. So Darwin said that man has evolved from apes. So according to Darwin's theory, man and ape, they cannot coexist because apes have evolved into humans. And why the evolution happens? Because of natural selection or because of forceful circumstances to survival of the fittest, because there were some natural disturbances and particular species, in order to adjust to those natural disturbances, the particular species, they evolved themselves so that they can save themselves from the climatic and existential situations, hazardous situations. So, so the apes, they were feeling some climatic or some natural disturbances. So due to some reason, the apes they evolved into humans. This is what Darwin says. So if the apes evolved into humans, so it cannot be possible that the fossil of the apes and the fossil of the humans, they cannot be found together because when the apes were there should be no humans, because apes have gradually evolved into humans. You're able to understand? So when the apes would have been when they would have been there on this planet, at that time there should be no humans. But when the archaeological survey was done and they started digging to different layers of earth, and they went down in deeper and deeper layers, they found that in all the layers, whether it may be 4 million years, 2 million years, 1.5 million years, in all the different strata of earth, there were fossils of apes and there were fossils of monkeys also. This is something in a very basic way we are studying, because time is less. So this was something very revealing, because apes, according to Darwin's theory, apes and humans cannot coexist. And when Darwin proposed his speculation, there was no archaeological surveys done. But later, after Darwin died, when the archaeological survey came out, then it failed. Then the speculation failed. And anyhow, it was a speculation. First of all, if it's a speculation, why to? But even then, so Darwin said that because the bear was hungry and there was some drought or something and he could not find his food. So he went into the water. He opened his mouth like this and he went into the water. And gradually he transformed himself into a whale. You see, so interesting. So in North America, the black bear was seen swimming for hours with wide open mouth, thus catching like a whale insects in water, even in so extreme. So Darwin saw that the black bear is open. He opened his mouth and he's moving in the water. So he felt that okay. So the bear is moving, opening his mouth in water. So it shows that the bear has transformed into whale. So like that, some speculation, no evidence for that. And the first thing you have to ask that then why the bears they exist now? If the bears were forced to transform into whales because of climatic conditions, then there should be no bear. There should be only whales. I don't know. And when the bears existed, there should be no whales because the bears they're forcefully transformed into whales. So when there were bears, there should be no whales. But it doesn't happen like that. All the species they're together existing. It's not that the first one came and then the later one came. So this is another example. That why giraffe have a long neck? Can anybody speculate? Let us all speculate now. Why giraffe has a long neck? Just close your eyes and think, speculate. That why giraffe has a long neck? So Darwin, he closed his eyes and he started thinking. Now why he had a small neck? So this is science, you know. This is called science. How you So what Darwin could not think this. Darwin felt that there must be a situation in the past that all there was a drought and there was no grass and 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 because of drought there were no leaves on the trees on the bottom side and there were only leaves on the top and there were no grass on the ground. So this the deers, now they're dying out of hunger. There is no grass. There are no leaves on the trees. So how they live? So they started stretching their neck to, to take the leaves on the top. So they stretched their neck so much that it became so big like a giraffe. You see, this is science. This is going on in the name of science. No, there's no problem. He can speculate. The right to freedom is there to everybody. He can speculate, but don't call it science. Why you are putting it in textbooks? Like that. So there are many things, but we'll stop here. And so, what is the problem with making mistakes? No, we'll do research, we'll make mistakes, we'll learn, and then again we'll do research, and like that we will improve. Right? So earlier we were not knowing that brains are we thought that it's a part to cool the body, but now we did mistake, but we learn, and like that there will be a time when there will be no more mistakes, and we'll have perfect knowledge. Somebody may argue like that. So, what is the proof that in the meantime we will have a perfect world with perfect knowledge? That how by just research work, by hypothesizing there will be a time when we'll reach to perfect knowledge. What is the proof? The proof is that we have so many gadgets. Now you see, we have invented this mobile phones, and earlier there were no laptops and such wonderful gadgets. Who could have imagined that? Just by putting an earbud like this, and it will go, and somebody else will hear so far. Who could have imagined like that? So people are bewildered. They think that scientists have created such sophisticated technologies. They can create life also. They start relating it with that, and they advertise it like that. You see, we have created helicopters and rockets. We are putting rockets on the moon and in the space. So it creates a bewildering condition. So there you see, there are gaming gadgets. But what we have seen that even though science has given us so many gadgets and sophisticated technologies, is that those gadgets and technologies have helped us? When internet was being advertised, then it was told that once everybody will have internet, then people will have access to all the knowledge which they cannot access, and everybody will be like nobody will be like a fool. Everybody will be intelligent because immediately they search in Google and they'll tell. And now there is Chat GPT and this and that. Well, you know everything, but you know nothing, right? That is the situation now. People have become even more dull. People become even more dull. They don't remember anything. Their remembrance power is gone. They are very much distracted. They cannot focus. There is sleeplessness. They keep go on playing video game. They forgot to eat. They forgot to sleep, and there's so many problems. Obesity, relationships lost. People are absorbed in their own phones and WhatsApp and this and that. Right. So depressions. So we have seen that over the years, what was being advertised, that is not the same case. The way it was being advertised, we are not seeing the same situation. But we are seeing the adverse effects of technology. So initially, there was a Silicon Valley startup. It was called Theron's Lab. So what they used to do, they invented a chip by which if you just give your one sample of blood, no, till now what happens is you have to give for different tests, you have to give samples of blood. But their claim was, Theron's Lab, they claim that we have a chip by which by one sample of blood, we can give you all the results. No, you don't have to do again and again tests. Just by one test, you will get all the results. So they started doing that, and there was some inaccuracy in the blood test, and so many people lost their lives because of the inaccuracy in the chip or something like that. Blood tests using automated device. Then instant diagnosis over 250 medical conditions by a single drop of blood. 250 medical conditions they claim they checked, and it was a fraud. And later it came out to be $9 billion fraud. So mistakes. They invented a machine. So many people lost their lives, and so just to show that this technology and the inventions which we do, the darker side of it, nobody is saying. Everybody just wants to see the bright side of it. But the majority of the portion of this technological revolution is the dark. Nobody talks about that the whole Punjab is now poisoned. The whole land of Punjab is now poisoned. You cannot drink the groundwater there. People, they don't want to purchase the wheat of Punjab. The wheat which is grown in Punjab, it comes and it rots in the godowns, but nobody wants to purchase. Tons and tons of wheat from Punjab rots in the godown, but nobody wants to purchase that wheat because it has been poisoned. Everybody knows this. There's a train which goes from Punjab to a cancer hospital in Rajasthan. The name of the train itself is Cancer Train. There are so many cancer patients that the government has introduced a cancer train just to carry those cancer patients from Punjab to a cancer hospital, a free cancer hospital in Rajasthan. And why it happened? Because it was being advertised that by putting these fertilizers and pesticides, no, your harvest will be double and triple and this and that. A green revolution will come. And that revolution came. Cancer revolution. And now the next phase of the revolution is drugs. The whole youth of Punjab is absorbed in drugs. They just take these injections and so people, the pesticides which they bought to put in the field, they started drinking it. This was the situation. Because so much of the farmers, they got caught in a trap. Now you put pesticide. Now the pests are died, but now the pests have evolved themselves. Earlier you used to put one kind of pesticide. Now that pesticide is not working because the pests have evolved themselves. Now they need higher dose, and they need even more higher dose. And then we put this dose, now they need even more higher dose because they are evolving. They are becoming resistant. And the pesticides are made in such a way so that the market should not, if all the pests will die, then how the market will go? Right or not? If all the manufacturers of electronic items, if they will manufacture good products, then people will go on using for years and years. So they manufacture certain products which will, after 5 years, it will start, deteriorating. So like that, they got caught in a trap, and this farmers. It is said that every year, now also, today also, every year thousands and thousands of farmers, they commit suicide. Now also, because of this green revolution. So the whole land is corrupt, is made barren. And Punjab was the world's first fertile land. Why it is called Punjab? Because there were 5 rivers which flow through Punjab. It's a land where 5 rivers meet. It was the most fertile land on earth. It's called Punjab. And this scientists and so-called people, they wanted to bring a revolution, and they spoiled the whole land, and now they're expanding into India. The whole India is, now the plan is to make it barren. So you can watch some clips of there's one neurophysicist. Her name is Vandana Shiva. You can see her videos, or some people like that. They're trying to save this farming in India. So this companies, their agenda is not to help people, but their agenda is to destroy the resources and earn money. So there's another. We're just trying to discuss that how people have committed mistakes, and what were the implications of those mistakes. And this Anuman means you hypothesize, and the consequences is not there in your hand. So you hypothesize, you try something, and then mistakes happen, then you again try. So what happened in Europe? There was once a plague called bubonic plague. Bubonic plague. So they were thinking, people were dying, and everywhere there are just bodies of dead people. So the government, they were worried what to do. They were not able to understand what is the source of this plague, how to stop it. So they speculated that maybe the plague is spreading because of cats. They hypothesized like that. They speculated, and the government, they made the rule, or they started hunting all the cats, and they killed all the cats in the country. All the cats were killed because of speculation. Now the next thing is even more dangerous. When all the cats were killed, after that, the attempt was made to stop the plague, but the plague exponentially increased, and it became even more uncontrolled. Then they started thinking how it happened. We killed all the cats. So what later they came to know that what happened, that because they killed all the cats, the number of rats multiplied. And then they came to know that the plague was spreading because of rats and not the cats. And by the time 3/4 population of Europe finished because of this stupid hypothesizing. Maybe, perhaps. So Hitler thought that Germans are the best. And to make Germans the best race, he has to kill all the people with defects. Because in the course of evolution, if the imperfections are removed, then the race will become more and more refined very quickly, right? Because according to Darwin's theory, the species, they evolve themselves and gradually they make themselves perfect by reducing their imperfections. So Darwin felt that there are many people who are blind and their nose are tilted and their lips are cut and their ears are not straight. So there were few doctors and nurses. They used to sit Monday to Friday. Saturday, Sunday was holiday. So they used to sit Monday to Friday in the concentration camp, and all those imperfect people in Germany, they were brought, and the Jews were by birth they're imperfect. They were considered Jews by birth. Something they did is their past, I also don't know, but they were considered imperfect, so they were against Jews. So doctors and nurses used to sit, and all the imperfect people in Germany, they were brought in the concentration camps, and the doctor will check the whole body, and if the nose is not straight or the ears are not proper and the lips are cut, then gas chamber. Finish. You see? And how many people got killed? Lakhs of people. Just because of one nonsense theory, Darwin theory, the implications of Darwin theory. And Stalin also was affected with this Darwin theory. And Hitler. They all wanted to make German race perfect by reducing those imperfections. This was the theory. So we don't know what the theory which comes and what its implications will be in the society. We don't imagine it. And you see the implications now we have in our society. You know, people think that we have to become perfect, and for that we have to compete with others, and then we'll compete, and then we'll be successful. This whole idea of becoming successful and competition and progress is coming from this Darwin theory. Because according to Darwin there is survival of the fittest. Then you have to compete, otherwise you'll be lost. And there's cutthroat competition, and this competition is appreciated. And those who are committing suicides, they're considered as survival, that they were weak, that they died. The system is perfect. Whatever we are doing is perfect. People are weak. That's why they could not survive. And we are the most fittest people who have evolved. Right? So this is the theory. We see how it is affecting the society, the mindset of people. So it's very deeply ingrained in the society. That's why we have to understand these things and its social implications. So now we have reached to the point that key to happiness is complete knowledge. So knowledge is supposed to, what is the purpose of knowledge? Knowledge is supposed to remove suffering and make our life comfortable. Knowledge should not be just for the sake of gaining knowledge. Like if I study grass, how the grass grows, and how the chlorophyll is formed, and how the grass gets spread. This is what this is just knowledge for the sake of knowledge. There's no purpose behind it. Right? This is not. We should not gain knowledge like that. How the ant walks, and how the scorpion mates, and in what interval the scorpion has sex, and in which year or part of the year the scorpion mates with another scorpion. This is not the purpose of gaining knowledge. The purpose of gaining knowledge is we should be happy. Knowledge is the key to happiness. Knowledge it should not be just for the sake of gaining knowledge. So we have to analyze that what knowledge we are gaining, whether it is giving me satisfaction and happiness or not. So we see that Pratyaksh and Anuman Praman are imperfect sources of gaining knowledge. So it's just like operating a machine with half knowledge. So half knowledge is dangerous, right? You see how half knowledge is dangerous. So we have come in this cosmic machine. This is, he didn't find anybody to teach. Then he started speculating. This is what is happening with us. We are trying to speculate with this material nature. The nature is such a big cosmic machine. Everything has been placed in very precise calculations. You know, the atmospheric gas is placed in such a with such precise calculations. If there is a slight misplacement, or if there is a slight difference or in composition of the gases, then life cannot survive. Immediately we'll die. With precise calculations, everything is being adjusted in nature. And we are just playing with the nature. We are putting all the pollutants in the ocean, and we are making dams on the rivers, and we are trying to manipulate all possible ways to destroy the nature. And we don't know what will be its implications. We are not worried about it. We are playing with this cosmic machine. And this cosmic machine is dangerous. You are playing with such a dangerous machine. How it will react, you don't know. And then there are earthquakes, and then there are tsunamis. And later you came to know that because you took out petrol, the tectonic plates, they slided, and then there is earthquake. That's what we studied. That the gases and the petrol are not for driving vehicles. The gases and petrol are filled in between the tectonic plates. There are tectonic plates. It is filled there. So if you take out those gas or coal, now that is empty. And the tectonic plates are there over lava. There is molten lava on that tectonic plates are there. And then it will slide. If there's a gap, then they will slide. And it requires just a fragment of, it will slide, then there will all your buildings will go inside. And that's what happens. It's not that earthquake happens, oh, this mother nature is cruel, God is cruel. No, God is not cruel. You are stupid. Right? We don't see our stupidity. We want to hide our stupidity by blaming God. But God gave us all the wonderful things. Why you want to dig the earth, go in the middle of the ocean and dig the earth and take out petrol? God has given everything. It's very simple. Thousands of years people used to live happily. There was no need of any petrol and pollution and this and that. 5 lakh people every year they die out of air pollution. Just see. They felt that farming is very dangerous. If some snake bites them, and some scorpion will bite them, what you will do? If you take your cows in the forest and some bhalu will jump on you, who will protect you? So don't go in the forest. Going in the forest is very dangerous. Krishna used to go, that's okay, but now the forests are very dangerous. You cannot graze your cows in the forest. But so does that, are we in a better situation now? We are dying in road accidents. We are dying out of air pollution and out of so many cancers and this and that, different kinds of diseases we are suffering from. This is the situation, and bad propaganda is done against natural things, natural farming, cow protection. Bad propaganda is done. No, don't farm. It's very hard. It's bad for health. You just sit in your AC and enjoy. And what are the implications of that? The implications are there in front of us. So going ahead. So how we can understand that what is the best way to be happy in our life? What is the key to happiness? Who will tell us? We cannot understand by our own self, neither by pratyaksha nor by anumana. Both ways are impossible, imperfect. So what is the key to happiness? Who will tell us? Who will give us the key? So now the Shabd Praman comes. Hearing from a bona fide authority. So somebody may say that this is also risky, sir, to hear from a person, because maybe the person will cheat. Right? So in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Evam parampara praptam evam rajarishayo vidu. That this knowledge which I am giving you, Arjuna, this knowledge has come in a series of parampara, in a series of acharyas or gurus. They have transferred this knowledge. The knowledge has been transferred by bona fide authorities or from a very long time, and now this knowledge has come to you through that parampara. Evam parampara praptam. Evam Rajarishyo. So in the past, the Rajarishis have taken the knowledge in this way. So you also take the knowledge in the same way. So now, so somebody may say that, okay, Krishna gave knowledge to Arjuna. He was fortunate. But now, how I can get knowledge? And now there's so many corrupt babas and sadhus, and so how I can get knowledge? So since Krishna said that parampara is there, the parampara is going on. So Krishna gave knowledge to Arjuna. Arjuna gave knowledge to his own disciple, and then the knowledge got flowed, and it reaches to us. So this is called parampara. But somebody may doubt the parampara, that what is the proof that the knowledge is proper or not. So here an example is given. If we want to know, if a child wants to know who is his father, we have discussed this example before. Yeah, this is discussed. So if a child wants to know who is his father, what is the way? DNA. So if somebody says that through DNA test, we'll find out who is the father of the child. So what it says, genetic fingerprint takes 800 years to identify a lot of 200 men, one of whom is likely to be your father. So if you check the whole population, it will take 800 years. And after the 800 years, there will be 200 men with similar samples of the child. And then from those 200 men, we'll have to find out who is his father. So we conclude that this method is nonsense. It is not possible. It's a nonsensical method. So is there any other method? The other method is to ask your mother who is his father. Because there is nobody else. That who can tell who is our father? It's the only mother. Because this was the business between only two people, right? Father and mother. So you have to rely on your mother. There is no other option. There is no other option if you don't rely on your mother. So if you want to know something which is beyond your experience, which happened before your experience, how you will know those things? You have to rely on somebody. Otherwise, how is it possible? Is there any way, if you want to know some things which happened prior to your experience, you have to rely on somebody. So it's the Vedas say the Vedas are considered as mother and God is the father. So if you want to know who is your father, you have to ask your mother, Vedas. So the Vedic process of learning is as good as any other process of learning. So any process of learning has three important items. There has to be an institution. There has to be professors who teach this knowledge, and there should be bona fide books to get this knowledge. So in Vedic processes of learning also, we have bona fide institutions. We have gurus who teach this knowledge and they practice this knowledge. It's not that you teach and then you come out of the class and then you smoke and then again you go to the next class. It's not like that. You practice what you teach. And there are authorized books, authorized Vedic literatures. So this is a proper process of gaining knowledge. And there are advanced knowledge in the Vedas, you can see. This is a description of Viman Shastra, that how in foreign universities, there are researches going on the Vedas, the description given in the Vedas, how to invent aircrafts. So they're taking advantage of this description, which is there in the Vedas. As I told you, 85% of the Vedas are just some material science. So they take advantage of these descriptions and they're trying to invent aircrafts. And there are, no, I'll send you some videos. And it says in the Vedas that the fuel which was used in those aircrafts was mercury. Yeah, mercury was used as fuel. And now the scientists, they have accepted that yes, mercury, if it is put in a vessel, in an iron vessel or some metal, and it is revolved with very high speed, then it will create a field. It creates a magnetic field which can generate lift, and the airplane can and the plane can fly. They have done in a small scale. Now they're trying to do it in bigger scale. The engineers, the aerospace engineers, and they are trying to do that. So it was happening. People used to do that. So Vedas, there are descriptions of the future, Vedic predictions, which have proved to be exactly correct. So this is just to make us believe that whatever is there in the Vedas is not just whimsical things. You know, somebody sat beneath a tree and he wrote the Vedas. No, it is said like that. No, it's not like that. No, otherwise, you see in Bhagavad Puran, after a few days we'll have this Bhagavad Puran here. In the Bhagavad Puran, in the 12th skanda, it is said that when Gautam Buddha will come, I'll show you the sloka. And exactly the same time Gautam Buddha came. Chanakya Pandit, the prediction is given. Kautilya, when Kautilya will come. And Emperor Ashoka, his prediction is given. And you see the references are given. The first skanda, 3rd chapter, 24th sloka. In the 12th skanda, 1st chapter, 11th sloka. It talks about Chanakya Pandit. And Bhagavatam was composed 5,000 years back. And how many? Much before then, Chanakya took birth. And there is another Puran called Bhavishya Puran, which talks about Elizabeth, right? Prophet Muhammad. You know, the predictions. The whole Purana is on predictions. Everything is there. So this is Vedas. Vedas means to know. So whatever is there to know is there in the Vedas. Jesus Christ, Prophet Muhammad, Bhavishya Puran. There's one Puran called Bhavishya Puran. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the incarnation of Lord Krishna in Kali Yuga, which is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam and many other Vedic literatures. So on 7th of this month, so there is appearance day of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we are celebrating that. He is Lord Krishna himself. Everybody is invited. There is some people. There are axioms which are given in the Vedas. So now we accept it. So this complex numbers, this Heisenberg and certain dimensions, these are few theories. There are a lot more, but few theories just as a this Vedic axioms. So now it is being put in our textbooks, but people used to study these axioms for a long period of time. Law of thermodynamics. So this Vedic knowledge comes in 4 sampradayas. As I talked about the institutions. So there are 4 schools of philosophy, through which the Vedic knowledge descends. So Krishna, he gave knowledge to 4 people. Who are those 4 people? Lakshmi, Brahma, Shiva, and Kumaras. And from this 4 sampradayas came. So in the Lakshmi Sampradaya, there is Ramanujacharya. In the Brahma Sampradaya, there is Madhvacharya. In the Rudra Sampradaya, there is Vishnu Swami and Kumar Sampradaya. They are the acharyas of that Sampradaya. Acharya means one who takes the philosophy of that particular school in a very mass scale. Like he introduces that philosophy to a very wide range of people in a very miraculous way. It's some extraordinary display of strength and power. So he's called an acharya, which no common man can do. Right? So Ramanujacharya, Brahma, Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami, and Nimbang Swami. When we went to Kanchipuram, so we discussed about Ramanujacharya. So he's the acharya of Sri Sampradaya. So like that, there are 4 sampradayas. So these are the 4 bona fides. So any guru or philosophy which is connected, is coming down through these 4 schools of philosophy is bona fide and correct. You can follow it. Apart from that, it's doubtful. So Krishna gave knowledge to Brahma, and from Brahma, the knowledge came down and it came to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is the 32nd Acharya of this Sampradaya. directly coming from Krishna. Unbroken chain of disciplic succession. The same knowledge coming through a chain of bona fide trained acharyas. These are not some simple people. Do you think Srila Prabhupada was a simple man? Extraordinary man, right? If he was a manipulator or a cheater, he could not have influenced so many people. And he didn't influence people by showing some magic, like this Bageshwar Dham Sarkar. He's showing magic and people are beginning enamored. But does Srila Prabhupada showed any magic? Why people were following him? Well, what Srila Prabhupada had? A small heighted person or old person. He was giving money to dance. I'll pay you, you dance in front of me. No, he was not paying anybody. People were dancing out of love because he was a pure devotee coming in a bona fide parampara. So like that. So 5,000 years ago, Vedas wrote this Vedic knowledge and it is coming down to chain of bona fide acharyas. So this is the whole Vedic knowledge, Shruti and Smriti and the different parts of Vedic knowledge. So these are the 6 philosophies. You see Sat Darshan in the last Sat Darshan. It comes Vedanta, Mimamsa, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Yoga, and Sankhya. These are the 6 philosophies. And like that, these are 6 theistic philosophies. And like that, there are 6 atheistic philosophies also. So in the present modern age, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is the living Acharya coming in a bona fide sampradaya. So he is a pure devotee of God. So imparting the message of the Vedas in its pure, unadulterated form. And the proof is the impact which we have seen. So all over the world. So that is the proof that the knowledge is pure and unadulterated. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Is anybody has any question? You can ask. Huh? Inference. Yeah, if there is smoke, there is fire. There few things are logical. That if there is hunger, there must be food. If there is thirst, there must be water. Few things are in general. So, but what do you want to ask? That where it comes, which category it comes? See, we are not saying that Anuman or Pratyaksh are completely false. We should not believe anything what we see. Not like that. Otherwise, how will you walk on the road? How will you do anything? Right? So it is that we have to rely on our, but we should not rely to the extent that we can reject anything just on the basis of that. Everybody has its place. Sensual perception has its place. Anuman has its place. Like inference, it's also Anuman. It's a calculated Anuman. It's not uncalculated speculation. Just go and speculate without any basis. There must be some basis on it. Right? So it's not that Anumana is in some cases it is rejected, but it has to be a calculated effort. It should be done in a reasonable way. And under the guidance of some authority. Authority is needed. You can't just speculate by your own. Nothing, no authority. There must be a teacher under the guidance of whom you learn, you get trained, and then you can teach others.
So any guru, if he says, any spiritual teacher, if he says that he doesn't have a guru and just by his own self he has a Punya knowledge, immediately understand that he's a cheater. He's cheating. Because there is no way that one can get knowledge. Even Krishna, he Sandipani Muni. In Madhya Pradesh, there is Sandipani Muni ashram. So you have to accept a guru. That if you have to do PhD, you have to get trained another professor. And then under him you can do the research. You can do the research, but under him you should first accept, you should first get trained. And then, so there must be training under a bona fide spiritual master, and then we can teach. A teacher should first learn, then he can teach. So all the three processes have its place, but we should understand that the limitations of the process, and we should not unnecessarily over-emphasize a particular thing. We should understand it's limited, and I cannot rely on the most perfect is Shabda. Now, Shabda also can be, we can get cheated. So in that also, we have to see, we have to observe, we have to be careful that this parampara, and the person whom we are following, we have to see whether he is practicing or not. But we have to his own speculations. Then you rely on your senses, but accepting that Shabda is the authority, but this is the ultimate means, and simultaneously you align your sensual and everything as per the Shabda. You align your sensual perceptions. It's not that on your sensual perceptions you align Shabda. I told you something and you felt that Prabhuji yesterday you said many things, but I didn't feel like that. I didn't see anything like that. If you chant Hare Krishna mantra, you will feel Krishna consciousness, or you will feel spiritual. Today I chanted Hare Krishna. So that is not the process. If you align Krishna consciousness to your feeling, you have to align your feeling to Krishna consciousness. You accept the instructions, you follow it, and gradually your feelings will be aligned as per Krishna. But you cannot reject Krishna consciousness to your person, because I cannot perceive, I cannot see Krishna, and my father is saying or my uncle is saying that there is no Krishna, so I will not accept Krishna. No, you cannot reject Vedas as by the comment of some person. Right? You have to align everything as per the Vedic instruction. Not try to align Vedic instruction as per public opinion. People are doing like that. People are doing like that. People, because now what people want some material benefit from reading scriptures. So they have people who preach that. If you read Bhagavad Gita, so you will become a successful man. Because I want to become a successful man. So I'm trying to align Bhagavad Gita to support my success. But actually, you should align your life as per Bhagavad Gita. Not try to align Bhagavad Gita as per your life. You're understanding this thing? I want to do MBA, so I align Bhagavad Gita for MBA. There are books written, Bhagavad Gita for MBA. So what I do, I try to align Bhagavad Gita to do business. But actually, I should align my business so that I can read Bhagavad Gita and I can love Krishna. Right? I should do my business in such a way that I get time to increase my devotion and love for Krishna. Not that my devotion and love for Krishna is so that I can do my business properly. So, a protection from Hanuman has to be aligned as per as Shabda. Shabda should not be aligned as per as Shabda. Because Navid said like that man has come from apes. So, maybe because there was Hanuman and there was Ram, so maybe Hanuman and so because people, but they do like that. You see Hanuman, he was half man, half man. So that means that was basically, you see, like that. Yeah, in the Dashaktha they show that how evolution happened. First there was tortoise, and then there was fish, and then there was this and that, and finally humans came. They are trying to align the Vedas as per their speculation. But actually, their Hanuman and their protection should be aligned as per Vedas. So this is we are trying to discuss. Are you able to understand? What do you say about that? He has got some siddhis. I told you 80%, 85% of the Vedas are material fulfillment. Like Vivah Yajna is for what? To enjoy sex. So that one can enjoy sex, a process is given. So that one should not become an animal. Similarly, if you want to read somebody's mind, you want to enjoy that power. I can read anybody's mind. And you want that power. So there's a process to do that. You do follow some tantric process, some tantric process in other. You do that. What about that? Yeah. We'll discuss.